Coronavirus deaths are plunging far quicker than expected, with one government scientist suggesting lockdown could end early. The number of fatalities as a result of COVID has plummeted since the start of the vaccine rollout. Over the past week, deaths have dropped by as much as 36% as more vulnerable people build up immunity. On February 28, 144 deaths were recorded. But modeling by the Scientific Pandemic Influenza Modeling Group (SPIM) did not expect England to hit the threshold until the middle of this month. On February 22, Prime Minister Boris Johnson set out his roadmap for the easing of coronavirus restrictions. He gave a minimum date for the lifting on certain measures, warning the timetable could be delayed as he would be guided by data not dates. Mark Woolhouse, who sits on the government's SPIM, has now suggested the evidence indicates restrictions could lift earlier than anticipated. The data are indeed looking better than the models were predicting and, to the best of my knowledge, better than anyone was expecting, the professor of infectious disease epidemiology told The Telegraph. If the phrase data-driven not date-driven has any meaning, then it must allow for the schedule for relaxing restrictions to be brought forward if the data are better than expected and not just putting the schedule back if the data are worse than expected. SPIM published its modeling on February 10, but since then further evidence has been gathered on the efficacy of the coronavirus vaccines. A new study by Public Health England earlier this week indicated the Pfizer and AstraZeneca jabs were doing a better job at preventing hospitalizations than expected. The first real-world data of the jabs rollout indicated a single dose of either vaccine slashed hospitalization by over 80%. The FEE report on vaccine effectiveness added, protection against symptomatic COVID, 4 weeks after the first dose, ranged between 57 and 61% for one dose of Pfizer and between 60 and 73% for the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. Professor Sir David Spiegelhalter, a statistician from the University of Cambridge, said the impact of the vaccine on reducing deaths from COVID-19 was better than anyone expected. He said, the latest death registrations refer to events from a few weeks ago, but if we look at what is happening every day as we see on the government's coronavirus dashboard, we can see that deaths in the over 65s, one of the vaccinated age groups, are now having every week. We all sort of hoped something like this might happen, but, frankly, it is better than anyone expected, I think. PHE's head of immunization Dr. Mary Ramsay also said there was growing confidence the vaccine stopped transmission almost completely. Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon has already indicated she is now considering speeding up the ending of lockdown restrictions north of the border in light of the latest date. She said, I have always said if we can go further and faster then we will not hesitate to do so. Despite growing pressure on Mr. Johnson to speed up his roadmap, he said on Monday, some people say we should go faster, some people say we should be more hesitant. I think we are going at the right pace.